Othering Podcast explores the world of marginalized communities with a focus on the disabled and LGBTQ+. In our discussions, we will provide a platform for our guests to advocate and share their stories. By delving deep into their difficulties and successes, we will explore the changes necessary to improve lives everywhere. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory.
PEP Radio, part of the Pennsylvania Equality Project, advocates for the rights of LGBTQ plus people, the disabled, and marginalized communities. We play music from all 7 continents from 1928 through 2025 in English, Spanish, German, African tribal languages, Korean, and Japanese. We also offer news, history lessons, and are proud to include the Othering Podcast in our programming lineup. Tune in on the Live 365 app, Roku, and Alexa every Saturday and Sunday at 4 p.m.
All right, today we are talking to Monika, also known as Monada. We talked to Monika on September 22nd or 23rd, I don't remember, that Monday. And then when the episode came out, she has scoliosis, has had many surgeries on her spine. She's neurodivergent, and she does art therapy for people that I think is very intriguing. So, welcome back, Monika.
Yes, welcome back.
I said it right that time. And she's from Canada. That's why her name's Monada.
Yes, because we wanted to create a whole new country. And there's Canada, and then there's Monada.
So, hearing Monica sounds wrong now?
It does. I didn't feel right saying it.
Thank you guys for having me back. I'm really excited. I love your guys' podcast and love the chats that we have. So super excited to be back.
Yes, and thank you for joining us again.
Yes, we love having conversations and getting to know each other. And it just, I think the conversations make it so much better and more genuine and more informative because
it builds that community.
Yeah, and I always like being that kind of fly on the wall kind of feeling where you get to listen to conversations that you're not maybe supposed to be a part of kind of feeling. And I think that's kind of what this is a nice conversation that you get to be the fly on the wall for.
Yeah.
100%. And it's so true. I totally hear that. Hearing things that maybe you're not supposed to, like those closed door conversations, you can be like, I'm privy to this information.
Yes.
It's very awesome. And especially because like people have very different conversations behind those closed doors than they do just out and open. And I think that the fact that that's the vibe you're aiming for, like those authentic closed door conversations, is super important.
It is.
And it's what other people need to hear, because those closed door conversations are the ones that people don't know about or don't think about.
Or don't even understand.
When you're someone that may not be advocating for us the way you should be, because they don't understand it or know it, because it's all behind closed doors.
Right. I mean, like, it's important to not only share your story, but to listen to other people's. Because you can't make a difference anywhere if you're only focused on your story and never hearing anybody else talk. And so
100%.
I like our conversations because of that. And, you know, we have to talk about those taboo, subjects of sex and rock and roll and all of that lovely stuff that they talk about and saying, oh my gosh, run away type of thing, drugs, alcohol, all of it should be on the table because that's how we improve as a society. And yeah, a lot of people will say, well, why should we care because they're in a different country than us? Well, as Canadians know, because of our Cheeto, it affects the entire continent.
Yeah, your Cheeto's fucking over our economy too. I could go off about that homie, even though I don't I'm not the most well-researched person. I never liked him to begin with, and now that he's in office again.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Neither do I.
How that happened a second time, I have no clue. But that's exactly it though. And if we don't talk about the taboo subjects, we're not going to talk about anything, and everything we would only talk about would be surface value nonsense and nothing would get done. And I honestly think that's the point. That's why social media has become so cancel culture. And I think that was orchestrated. I genuinely think that cancel culture was orchestrated so that we wouldn't talk about the deeper things, so that people wouldn't ask these important questions, wouldn't touch these topics. Because if we don't touch them, people who are benefiting from us not touching them can stay benefiting from that.
Right. That is 100% it.
Just like they canceled the late night show recently. They're trying to stop everyone from talking.
Right. And it's not going to, we have to keep talking. You know, we have to talk about Colbert and Kimmel and all of that stuff, but we also have to talk about the other people that aren't as big as Colbert and Kimmel, who don't necessarily have that platform or can't because, you know, they don't have the means to talk anymore. Growing up, I always used to think in terms of the fact that why are we as a society, especially over here comparatively to Europe, so incredibly prudish? You know, why can't we, as females, AFABs, you know, fart like guys do in public? What's wrong with that? It's going to happen. And the last time I checked, we're humans too. So, you know, we're going to burp, we're going to fart, we're going to, you know, stink and all of that stuff. And you know what? That's okay.
And I'm sorry, fart jokes are always funny.
Yes,
I
they
don't care
are.
if I'm not a 5-year-old little boy, fart jokes are always funny. Me
They
and my
are.
parents like 10 of them per day.
I mean, but I mean, I don't know if you do it, but sometimes we've done like, you know, Dutch oven, and it's those fun moments. That's what kind of keeps us going. And well,
I don't want to normalize being stinky, though. I mean, farts is one thing, but being stinky, I don't think I want to normalize that.
okay, yes.
Personal hygiene. We'll stick
Yeah.
with
Yes, we should have good
Keep
hygiene.
your hygiene up there.
I am not saying
A
let's
fart's-
all go.
A fart's temporary, but keep the hygiene.
I'll second that. I'll agree.
Yes.
I'll agree. Farts are something, but
Especially if you have to ride the buses or trains, please keep up with that hygiene. Don't torture everybody.
So I have a really good segue here, if you
Okay,
don't mind.
go ahead.
I wanted to talk about your exercise routine, your weightlifting I've
Yes.
seen on social media. I figure you get stinky when you do that. You have had a lot of surgeries on your back, and you have scoliosis, and heavy weights seems like a terrible idea for that. I guess the question is, how do you manage that, and does it hurt and cause more problems?
So actually, there's a lot of answers and a lot of things that I could touch on with that. Before, when I was about a year post-op, I started heavy lifting and I got to like 280-pound deadlift before I had to stop. And I injured my knee and then everything went downhill. And that's when I started like thinking about, oh, maybe like EDS and maybe all these other joint conditions. And I stopped working out completely for a year because I chose to like see doctors and figure out what was going on. And about 12 weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to be done waiting and I wanted to take my health into my own hands again. And I tried powerlifting again. And I mean, obviously you have to start back from ground zero and you got to like build your strength back up. But I actually just canceled my gym membership today and opened a membership at a facility with a pool because I, as somebody who used to really heavy lift and I was trained as a personal trainer, like I understand how all that works. I can accommodate for other people, but for myself, in my own personal body, I don't know how to like go soft at the gym. I don't know how to like take a break. I don't know how to like deload. I don't know how to like do what's good for my body because I can't tell my own body cues. I don't know if it hurts till it pops. I don't know if it broke till it pops.
Yes.
And so this is why I'm shifting my focus. And I was really public about my lifting and return to lifting because I thought it was a good idea and I thought it was empowering. And I'm admitting to this mistake online for accountability and also to let other people know that you can try different things. I love powerlifting. I love challenging myself for that. It makes my brain so happy. But my body wants to die every time I do it. Like every single time I come home from the gym, whether it's a 40-minute session or an hour and a half session, I've popped something, I've hurt something. I come back in so much pain, more than just like the I'm working out and my muscles are sore kind of pain.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between working towards your fitness and taking your fitness and health into your own hands and doing what's wrong for you and ignoring everything and thinking that you're doing fitness. And I just found that in myself, that I was doing the toxic thing where I'm like, I'm doing able-bodied fitness. I am treating my body like an able body and I'm ignoring the fact that I am disabled and that I have these conditions. And I sat down and chatted to my fiance about it. And I was like, I am hurting myself more than I am doing. Like, I want to be healthy and I want to be chasing my fitness, but I feel like I'm breaking myself more. And he was like, well, low impact, like change what you're doing. Find something else that you love. If you can't modify what you're doing, find something else. And that was scary.
That is.
Yeah.
And, you know, overworking yourself and not necessarily thinking in terms of, I have a disabled body now, I need to step back and reassess. I am guilty of that. Mike's guilty of that. In fact, like, what was it? 8 years ago, we got addicted to exercising. And it is very addictive because it feels so good. And, the endorphins are just super running and everything just feels great. But that's also when my disability was starting to kind of get worse at times. And it was kind of like I have to exercise in order to keep things warm. But at the same time, if I keep doing it, then it's messing up my body.
Yes.
And it's hard to kind of figure out, well, then how do I do this so that I'm not like, killing myself, but at the same time, I don't want to gain back all the weight I just lost.
Yeah, and you want to be able to keep having access to those happy endorphins, to those, like, I could take on the world endorphins.
Right.
And that's the battle I'm going through right now, too, is trying to figure out what that balance is. But that's like, he makes such a good point, and that's where I'm at right now. And that's why I just changed my membership, because I realized that, especially because of social media and the fact that I'm on it, and that I know people with disabilities are watching my stuff, even though I'm not super big on the presence, I don't want somebody to see what I'm doing and copy that. I don't want them to break themselves, and I don't want to perpetuate the, like, you have to do this, otherwise you're not right, or you have to, like, ignore your body and do that. So if I'm going to give that advice, I have to take it, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the hardest part.
Are you going to try aquatics? Is that the plan? Because it's more low impact?
Yes, that is absolutely the plan. So I used to love swimming, actually. But the way I used to swim before my surgery was, like, I would keep my feet together and I would just, like, mermaid swim.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't do that anymore because I don't have any torso tension. And I haven't swam since before my surgery because of that. And so now I'm going to, like, try treading water. I'm going to try, like, doing some water activities, and I got a walking pad for my place so that on good days I can, like, walk. I'm really working hard to change it. I'm also someone who gets bored really easy. So, like, the fitness facility that we have that I just got access to also has, like, it has, like, a jungle gym set up for, like, adults, like adult gymnastics thing. It's got, like, a rock wall that are, like, rock wall levels and things like that. So on days that I'm feeling really good, I could try to not kill myself, but, try a rock wall. Right?
Yes.
Like, switch it up a little bit. And I think that my body and my mental health would be better for it, because nothing is worse than trying to do something you love and then leaving feeling like crap because you hurt yourself.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
sure.
That's a good point too, because, like, that's a part of, the whole cycle with our disability is just figuring out how do you get over, well, I don't want to say get over, because that's not the case, because you don't. But, like, how do you grieve that aspect of, I can't do this anymore, and then be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to shift over to here, and kind of, I guess you could say, be able to keep up that momentum, because you're still kind of grieving over here, saying, I used to be able to do this, this, and this, and I want to do that, but now I'm stuck over here, kind of feeling.
Well, and it's really hard to not get into that, well, if I can't do this, then fuck it all, and I don't want to do anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm a stubborn person, so I went there for a while. The first time I had to stop gymming. And I think that it's mental resilience for sure. having disabilities and being a person with disabilities forces you to have mental resilience, because you have to do that grieving, and it comes in waves. Like, there's good days, and then there's days where I'm crying because it sucks. You know, like most of the time I am in acceptance that chronic pain and the disabilities is just part of my life and part of who I am. And every now and then, usually when the pain's really, really bad, I have this, like, damn it, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's not going away. Grr! And you just get a little sad, you have a little cry, and, well.
And I like you saying that you have that little cry, because so many times, society tells us, well, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show any kind of emotion, especially not in public.
Yeah, walk it off.
Yeah, or walk it off.
Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah. And
Take
but
some Tylenol.
We need Tylenol.
Get some autism.
Yes.
A little touch of autism.
Yeah. Well, everybody is a little bit anyway, aren't they? I mean, come on, let's just add a little bit more. Take that Tylenol. And just kidding, people. Because, there's always that one person that's...
We're very kidding.
Yes. But it's hard sometimes to go through those things privately. And we need to show publicly. We need to show that it's okay to cry and that it's okay to feel down and have negative thoughts. And because we can't just be constantly positive.
But it's
No,
not okay
there's-
to give up.
No, it's not okay to give up either. Of course
Yeah.
not. But we have to learn how to kind of handle those both sides, because I think toxic positivism is way too big.
It's super prevalent.
And that's not sustainable for disabled people or non-disabled people. It's not sustainable.
Disablable.
Disablable.
Yes.
Because it's hard to try and be the stoic person and smile all the time. And the thing is that I prefer, especially with my neurodivergence, I want people to be genuine. And if I feel like you're not genuine, I can't open up to you. And it ruins relationships. So if I pick it up as a neurodivergent, imagine what everybody else is picking up on.
Well, 100%, right? And I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, because there's toxic positivity and there's toxic negativity. Like,
Right.
There's something to be said about grieving, understanding that that negative things and emotions happen, and processing that properly, and sitting in it too long and letting it control you. And I think that's the problem, because I think a lot of people fall into one or the other. You either talk about it all the time and only focus on that negative and focus on the stuck and stay stuck in the suck, or you're not acknowledging it at all. And you have to have that balance, because if you don't have that balance, you can't control how you respond. You become not victim, but you become your circumstance. Like, you become your emotions and your circumstance if you focus on the negative too much. Rather than if you sit with your emotions properly and not stay stuck in them too long, you process them, you can respond to the situation as you, and not as the emotions you've been bottling for God knows how many years. Because I did that too for a while, right? Like,
Yes.
Everybody's bottled something, and it's always an explosion. You always end up doing something you regret because of the explosion, or saying something you regret because of bottling that down, or just being somebody who you're not for too long because you bottled it down.
Yeah.
Yep. My therapist said the exact same thing. Whenever I bring up an issue I've been handling, she says, "And how did you deal with it?" I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't. I just waited for it to go away.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we're taught, though, is to just wait for it to go away, not take care of it and just pray it away or hope it away. And if you want to pray, but you have to still take the action, because it's meaningless without the action. And
100%.
you can't get better if you're terrified of showing any kind of emotion. And, that's why we're in the shit we're in now with this stupid ass fascism crap. I mean, it's because so many people sat on their feelings, didn't know how to, express them. And so they got mad at everybody else and want to screw everybody else over.
But at a certain point, if you're not voicing your things, you have to take accountability for the fact that you're part of the problem.
Right.
If you're not processing your own feelings, voicing your own opinions and feelings, and responding and reacting as yourself and true to yourself authentically, then you're part of the problem. And that's not to be said if you are unsafe to speak your opinion, or you are a marginalized person who literally cannot for fear of safety. I'm not talking about that.
No,
I'm
of course
talking
not.
about if you're not doing everything in your power to process your own feelings and emotions and act as your true authentic self in every way you can, you are doing yourself and everybody else a disservice.
Right.
And you're
Right.
part of your own problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
And a lot of
100%.
people don't want to hear that.
No, they don't, because that means that they have to take accountability. And accountability is difficult. It's not easy to take. It's not easy to sit there and say, you know what, I fucked up. I was wrong. Those are the hardest sentences to say
Yep.
at any given point. But you have to learn to say them at because if you don't take responsibility for yourself, then everything that goes wrong, you're going to sit there and say, well, it happened to me. And then you're going to get angry and think, well, because everything happens to me, it's somebody else's fault. And then we end up blaming people that had nothing to do with your shit.
Yeah, 100%. The victim mindset is huge.
Yes.
It's such a bad problem. Like,
It
seriously.
is. And it's not the victim mindset of you were victimized. No.
Or you actually were a victim.
If you were a true victim, this is not for you. We're not talking about you because you have every right to sit in that feelings of being screwed over because you were victimized in some way via, governmental or personal or whatever it is. What I'm talking about is the people that have the power and want to blame everyone else, even though it's like, wait a minute, you have what you wanted. Why do you need more? You own shit. You have you're a billionaire or something like that, or a millionaire. It's not anybody else's fault.
Or even in super small terms, like to make it something super bite-sized and manageable. Like even if, in my own experience, like let's say I'm snappy at my fiance and I had some stuff going on and I don't apologize for that, he's gonna start feeling upset and it's gonna be my fault. But if I don't take accountability for that I was snappy, it's going to be, oh, well, you were just snappy back and you were just a jerk to me. Why were you doing that? And then it escalates and rolls and rolls instead of taking that personal accountability and saying, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I was snappy. I was a jerk.
Yes.
And I think that something that a lot of people don't recognize or don't think about is that accountability is a skill. It's a muscle. It's a practice.
Oh, yeah.
If you start doing it, it gets so much easier.
Yes.
You can catch yourself faster. It's like, I don't know. I used to, and as a raging teenager, I didn't take accountability for anything. I had a lot going on, and I mean that's very teenagery.
Yes.
As I grew up and focused on self-improvement and did a lot of growth, I now catch myself in the moment. I'm like, oh, like following on that, I'm snappy at my fiance. I had some huge news last week. And I was super snappy at him. And in the moment, I was mid-sentence, man. I was about to say something real mean, real off-kilter, just because I felt aggressive. And I stopped him and I'm like, no. I'm so sorry. I am feeling really aggressive right now. I'm just going to take a beat. And he was like, I noticed you were getting aggressive. Like, I understand that. And like, there's big things happening. I'm like, no. There are big things happening, but it's not fair how I'm talking to you. That should not be happening. I stopped myself mid-sentence. And that's a pride thing for me.
That's
like
a
that's
huge
I'm
thing.
so proud of myself for that because that speaks to my personal growth.
Yeah.
That's a huge growth.
Flexing that muscle, right?
Yes. And I think honestly that when you're a part of some sort of marginalized community, specifically when you're kind of disabled and or LGBTQ plus, that you have to work those muscles a lot more and you figure those muscles out a lot more and faster than when you're not.
So with that being said, as a caregiver and a disabled relationship that we kind of have and you kind of have, do you feel that kind of happens a lot where you guys kind of struggle to meet in the middle there? If that's not too personal. I mean, I don't want to go too personal in your relationship, but I know we experienced that where it's kind of hard to understand what the other one's going through. And we tend to get mad before we solve it and talk about it.
So something that I think I am maybe the exception to the rule because my fiance and I have never had a problem with communication from the get-go. Like we are both have done so many self-improvement courses, learning, therapy, like self-growth. Like before we found each other, we both made it a huge priority to heal all our past traumas, to become the best version of ourselves that we can before becoming in a relationship to elevate each other. We both did so much self-work to break our cycles, to learn how to communicate, that by the time we got together, I already knew all my triggers. He already knew all his triggers. We already learned how to talk about it from the get-go in our relationship. If something's wrong, it's within 5 minutes that I'm like, hey, something wasn't right about this. Can we talk about it? We don't leave anything for more than like 10 minutes. And if we do, it always gets solved before bed.
And
that's how we don't like to leave anything resolved. But I also like to touch on that. he's not disabled and I am aspect, he doesn't understand a lot. But I don't want him to. Like, I'm glad he doesn't understand. And I know you can relate to that as well. Like, I'm glad he doesn't get the pain or the suck of it.
Right.
But he has the empathy. He, like, and so do you. He doesn't want to see me
Right.
struggle. He wants to do what he can to help, and he hates feeling like he can't.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
we've also talked our communication. We've talked about that. I sometimes feel like, oh, I'm not contributing financially enough to the relationship. And he's like, babe, I don't care that you don't financially contribute as much to our relationship because you cook the meals. You make sure our house is pretty. You make sure that I have someone to talk to. You are like, I enjoy being around you for who you are. You contribute in so many other ways. You prioritize our calendar, making sure we're organized. You prioritize making sure that I feel loved and compassion and cared for. You prioritize going and running that errand for the family or Christmas shopping, or like the little things that because he's working his butt off and doing the job things, and outside of the house job things, because my stuff's all from home, because he's prioritizing going out and doing all that stuff, he's communicated to me that my value isn't tied to my financial capabilities at all. And I think
Yeah.
that that's a huge discussion
Yes.
that
Definitely.
everybody should have. They should talk about that. Like, what is it that I value that you bring to the relationship? Like, having that discussion blows it all, like, not blows it all, but like opens it all up. And you're probably going to have that conversation 1.5 million times because I need reassurance more than once. I'm
Yes.
human. And he needs that reassurance too. Every now and then he's like, I hate that I can't help you. It goes both ways.
Yes. It does. And honestly, you really should, you need to clone him because that is like the best ever. Because so many people, and you know, this is also something that kind of pertains to all of it, is that as AFABs or AMABs, when you stay at home, so many times people assume that you aren't contributing anything and that, you know, you're not worthy of anything, or unless you're, you know, like vacuuming and grocery shopping and cooking and cleaning, 3 square meals a day with snacks and dressed to the nines, like, you know, leave it to Beaver mom type of thing, that you're not worthy of anything. But you are. And I like the fact that you had that conversation together and that he said it doesn't matter that you can't work necessarily. I love you for you, because that is the biggest thing that we have to focus on. We aren't in the day and age anymore where we need to marry for security. We have to get out of that mindset and we have to keep pushing forward to stop being thrown into that mindset of, well, you know, I can't get a job, so I have to marry up or whatever. No, you marry for love. And that's the biggest thing. And regardless of whether or not you're disabled or undisabled, it doesn't matter. You deserve love, unless you're a Cheeto.
You are worthy just for existing. You are human.
Yes.
You are a person. You are worthy for just existing.
Exactly, unless you're a Cheeto.
Unless you're a Cheeto.
Then we got something else to discuss. But if you feel like you're worthy of all of that, sometimes shit happens. I mean, like, for instance, in our marriage, there are times when I worked and Mike stayed home with the kids. There have been times when he's worked and I stayed home with the kids. And that was a sacrifice that we were willing to make because we wanted to be able to say that we were there and didn't spend all of our money on childcare, which is ridiculous here.
Oh, here too.
Yeah. But it's not to say that that's something that everybody has to do. That's just what worked for us. And when he was at home, I didn't feel like he was taking advantage of me and that he was some freeloader. I thought in terms of he's making sure that my kids are safe, that, you know, that I worked hard to bring here. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that, yes, of course, there's going to be moments where you come home and you're just like, oh, you didn't do this. But you don't voice it because you don't know what they were doing all day. Yes, there's going to be moments where you're aggravated or something about something ridiculous. But the thing is that you shouldn't voice it at that moment wait and talk about it later? Like, let's talk about this. It seems like during the day when I'm gone, you're not doing X, Y, and Z. Is there something that we can do to make it easier for you? Instead
Yeah.
of laying it on,
A
the
conversation
blame.
of, can we break down the barriers of this task getting done together instead of, oh, it's your fault because you didn't do it.
Right.
Right.
And that's, for example, that is exactly it, and that is a healthy mindset, because everybody on social media posts like they have their life all together, okay? And I'm one of those people. I don't post my disasterness on internet, but
course.
I am not together. I don't get dressed every day. I don't I don't do my makeup every day. I work from home, and not always full-time hours. But I have a really hard time sweeping the floor. I really truly do. It is a really big barrier for me, just because of my back and the pain, and also just because I could not, no matter what. It's one of those tasks that just gets on my list, and then it's like I feel lazy as crap because I just can't do it, but there's like a big mental roadblock there. And what did he do? He saved up and bought me a Roomba. So that,
Nice.
and I know that not everybody can save up and buy a Roomba, but like there are solutions so that things can get done together, because he hates having dirty feet. That's one of his things. And like we decided on that together. And I think it's the willing to be you and your partner versus the problem. It is never you versus your partner. It is always the problem and
Yes.
you two.
Yes.
And like, no matter what that problem is, whether it's I feel like crap and I literally can't do anything today, but I'm too busy and I can't get that stuff. I can't do that stuff. Okay, well, what's the solution together?
And we need that type of mentality, especially when we're disabled, because as disabled people, we're more likely to have those moments of, I just can't fucking touch this, or I can't do that.
Yep.
Like you mentioned sweeping, and I can't do it. Vacuuming kills my back.
That's why we had kids.
Well, yeah.
They do it all.
Other kind of Roomba, the arguably more expensive Roomba.
Yes. When you think about it, at least you don't have to service your kids. Like, you don't have to send them to the Roomba headquarters to get them refixed up or anything like that. Not saying that that's why you should have kids, people, but
It's an added bonus.
it is an added bonus.
Uh-huh.
They help out, and that's also part of how they become better humans too, is they're made to do chores and not necessarily expect money from it or things like that, because
Oh, I don't think kids should get paid for chores. As adults, they're not going to get paid for chores.
no, you don't.
Right.
And as sucky as it is, because when I was a kid, I wanted to get paid for the chores, but I understand why my parents didn't.
I got paid.
Yeah, fuck off. But
One of my friends pays their kids for how many books they read.
see, now that
How many
would be
like
good.
extra, like how many passion projects they worked on, how many books they read, how many like how much research or volunteer they did. Like, there's so many other things to pay your kids for. It shouldn't be things that they're expected to do anyway.
Right.
I
Right.
love the book thing because that's expanding their knowledge. One of my other friends does volunteer hours. They drop their kid off every week at the pet shelter, and they pet puppies that get paid, like volunteer time to pet puppies, and then they pay their kids for the volunteer hours. The puppies get love. The kids are out of the house. They're learning something. They're doing a valuable skill. They're part of the community. They're doing something that benefits them.
Yep.
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing.
I agree.
Because yes, they need to do chores, because that's just how you adult. And adulting sucks enough already. So pick passions that you can get paid for, so that maybe it teaches you, instead of just picking any old job because that's what you're expected to do, then you can maybe figure out how to make your passions from childhood into something lucrative. And then we'd have more happy people, because they're not, well, I don't like this job. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. Okay. You don't like that job? Okay. How many books are you reading on how to break out of your 9 to 5? How many entrepreneurship books are you reading? How many passion books are you reading? How much time and research are you spending into turning your passion into something that you can finance?
Right.
Like, and how much time and effort are you putting into escaping the 9 to 5? Because you're not just going to spend all day hating your job and have a life that
Yeah.
pays you not to work. You
Right.
have to work to not work,
Yes.
Yep. It doesn't fall in your lap. I've
Unfor-
waited for that way too long.
Yeah, and Well, I mean, I think it kind of does. It's a little bit of both, where like you have to work towards it, but I think when the right time comes, whenever that may be, it does fall into your lap because you've prepared for it.
Okay, so that is also like, that is mindset and manifestation and attraction all lumped in one statement right there, because same thing with praying. I'm not a religious person. Me and God have a complicated thing, but I can speak on it from manifestation. Some people call it prayer. If you're praying for something, it's exactly what you said earlier, but you're not taking action on it. Of course it's not going to happen.
Right.
Of course it's not going to happen. But to that very same thing, like you said, when the right time happens, if you're taking action and you're manifesting or praying for something, it's all going to fall into place like puzzle pieces as soon as it does start to happen. There's that momentum. Like the things start to build in your favor because you're working for it. You're elevating your energy to pray and manifest for it. You're probably already speaking action as if it's already happened, or saying that it's going to yourself and reinforcing that belief. Our brains are so powerful. It's insane.
It is.
Yeah.
I just wish it was sometimes more powerful so that we could like say, okay, body, you're going to do this today. Because
going-
I said you are going to do this
And
today.
you're going to make $1 million today.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Exactly.
my friend and I were talking about that the other day, and they were saying we were made like, they were saying if I wasn't neurodivergent, I would take on the world, and they made a quip, and they were saying like the universe gave me this disability because they knew I would be unstoppable and take over the world
Yes.
too
Yes.
easily
Yep.
if I wasn't. And I think that that's like, it's not necessarily helpful, but I think it's like a cool way to look at it.
It is.
Instead of being down on yourself, like I am just unstoppable, and the universe needed to level the playing field.
Yes. No, and we need those thought processes of thinking of ourselves as these superheroes, as these super brainiacs, and you know, if you have to compare yourself to Superman or Pinky and the Brain or something like that, do it, because especially as, you know, I keep saying this, but especially as disabled people, we tend to knock ourselves down more because
You got to find the positive.
right. And yes, it sucks to hurt all the time. It sucks that there are certain chores or books or things that you can't read or can't do because your body limits you. It's frustrating, but you have to find those little things that keeps you going, because that's in and of itself an act of resistance, of just keep going and living in your body and loving your body and realizing that what?
Like getting to meet awesome people
Yes.
because of being disabled.
Yes. Like this is
High
like
five.
hugely awesome. High five back. I mean, like I have met you and so many other awesome people because of having a disability. Oh, my mouth,
Yes.
my mouth doesn't want to work. And so we got to think of those terms. We got to find those silver linings, because again, it is an act of resistance of our, you know, just us being here talking and showing up for each other is a huge act of resistance, because they want us to go back in the dark, and fuck that shit.
They can't legally lock us in institutions anymore, so
Yes, exactly. And even if they
Right.
could, they're going to find one hell of a fight. And because
it's a hell of a party.
yes.
We're great people.
Yeah, because, I mean, I can plan like nobody's business a party. I mean, hell. And it's because we have those disabilities that kind of forces us to then come up with ways around certain things, to be able to be awesome planners or project managers or creatives and everything like that.
Innovative. Use the skills you have.
Right. And it's not to say that it's for working, because there's so many people that can't, but that doesn't mean that you don't contribute. Like there are people who can't talk that can hum a gorgeous melody. There are people who can't get up and such like that, but they tell you the
Talking.
most gorgeous
Genius.
poems. And we need that. So if you're
100%.
listening and you feel down on yourself, do it and then come back.
But also, if you're listening and you feel down on yourself, draw your dumps and how you're feeling down about yourself as a monster, and then draw what would befriend that monster, and do that.
Yes.
There you go.
And if you have to crunch a Cheeto under your foot, do it too. You know, make it into a Cheeto.
Make that cheese dust powder out of this.
Exactly.
So, speaking of your art therapy that you just kind of brought up, I forget what I was going to say, but
It's nice to see that he gets brain fog too. It's not just me.
yeah.
Nobody's immune.
But I know you have some. I know you have some good stuff coming up. Do you want to talk about what you have coming and kind of remind people what you do?
I do. I'm really excited. I'm actually drafting a 14-day challenge right now, and it should be coming out or out by the time this episode airs. Haven't figured that out yet. But what it is it's how to add more color to your life and by using creativity as a tool for intentional living. And so by using creativity, you can train your brain to be more intentional and to focus on the things that do better for you. So like focusing on how you're a superpower or focusing on those positive things in your life, because negative things are going to happen. But if you train your focus for intentional living and some positivity, then it's insane. So basically what the framework for this challenge is just to get you paying more attention. And it's basically to get your creative brain turned on by focusing on sights, sounds, smells, atmospheres around you, and look for that inspiration in the everyday. And I will give anybody who wants it the 14-day challenge because it is completely free of charge, but it's just like to get that brain started and get it going. And you'll be amazed, even after 14 days, how your brain changes and what you look for. Because every time I'm feeling stuck or I'm feeling like my life's a little more beige than usual or I'm feeling down, I start enacting these things and I notice that I start paying attention, the things that I start paying attention to, the inspiration I get, the art pieces I make, the things that I think about, the things that I do are so much more vibrant.
And
Like,
that
and sometimes that counts for negative emotions too. You know what? Sometimes I'm feeling like pins and needles, pain all over, and it sucks. But I notice that and turn that into something. And it's doing exactly what we talked about earlier, where it's like you're processing the so that you can move on to something better.
and everything you just said is stuff I hear that they always say you should do when you get really anxious, when you have like an anxiety attack, where you just kind of focus on your surroundings and yourself. So I could definitely see how that would work. Really focusing on that for 14 days make a huge difference.
Not only that, but like, imagine the things that you could end up coming up with. You know, ideas for a book or a new painting or just a poem or, you know, like just giving people hugs. Or
That is the exact point.
yes. And, you know, or it could just be simply, I love you. You know,
Yeah.
because love doesn't necessarily, this is, you know, a quickie thing like here. Well, I guess it'll be quickie. This is me we're
Probably not,
talking about.
yeah.
But love isn't always about sex. And we need to understand that love comes in different shapes and sizes, and that you can have love for your children and love for your spouse, love for your friends, love for other people in your family,
Love yourself.
and yourself. Exactly. And yes, it's harder to love yourself than it is to love other people. But that's what you're working on, though, is to find that so that you understand that you're just as worthy as everyone else to be here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, cultivate those relationships, not thinking that you're going to get in somebody's pants.
So
Ew.
I want to back
Sometimes.
up a little bit. You had mentioned the draw the monster and then draw the, well, I guess it was what defeats the monster or something like that. I don't remember exactly what you said. But my therapist told me to name my depression, to give him a name, to give him like a personality. And I love that idea of drawing it because just giving it a name and trying to think of it, that doesn't do any good really. It's hard, so hard to do that. So drawing it out, yeah.
Carl.
So drawing it out, you
Yes.
can like create the character. That's a great idea.
It
Yeah.
is.
That's exactly where I got that actually from, is because I had someone tell me the same thing, like give your problem a name. And like it's Carl. Oh, it's just Carl acting up again. Yeah, like it's fine and dandy to say. But my approach is, and I don't care if drawing's not your thing, you can take some Play-Doh and just and that's your monster right there. But giving it a trait, still giving it that personality. But the important part is drawing what calms it down. So let's say my monster right now, pain, okay? Like physical pain. What calms my monster down? A heating pad, a yummy snack, a comfort television show. Draw those things too, or put those things on it, or like, you know? And
Yep.
you can even take it a step further and draw your monster with those things as a happy buddy. You know, it's like it's a befriend your monster exercise, is what I call it and how I work it.
Yeah.
But it's so impactful, and it's exactly what you said, and it goes a step beyond that, like giving it a name. You can also give your monster a name, but I think focusing on the attributes of it too and what makes it better is so impactful.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Being
having
able to see it makes a difference.
yes, that's what I was going to say is sometimes thinking in terms of just giving it a name is a little too abstract, but actually physically seeing it or even physically touching it because you made it out of clay or something, it helps. And it makes you kind of find a way to kind of become friends with it because it doesn't leave you. It's not going to leave you. That's another thing is we have to understand that depression, anxiety, and things like that, grief will come in waves, they come and go. And if we think in terms of, I'm going to 100% cure it, it's not going to be helpful because when it doesn't, it spirals you down further. So you have to learn, like, there's a great horror movie that kind of discusses this. It's called Babadook.
Babadook.
Babadook, thank you. And it's about her grief of her husband dying. And it terrorizes them at first. And then when she realizes that she has control over it and can basically kind of put it back in the book type of idea, and it has a name and it's got a physical manifestation and all that stuff, she was able to fight it then and keep it from hurting her and other people. And that's kind of what we have to do with our depression, anxiety, and grief is give it a name, give it a physical manifestation, and say, you know what, I'm going to befriend you so that I can control you better. And
Yeah.
instead of trying to think of in terms of, I'm going to conquer you.
And instead of thinking as something that you have to get rid of to be valid or to be worthy,
Right.
it's not something that you have to get rid of to be valid or worthy or to get help or to do a certain thing or to achieve. It's getting rid of it is not the goal. I think it's an unhelpful goal to think of it as getting rid of, and I know that a lot of people do. Like, yes, it would be so much easier if you just and have it be gone and never have it be a problem again. But because it is a wave-like structure and usually is something that comes and goes, trying to befriend it is A, softer and gentler, and B, I think more impactful for those very reasons. It's not an unattainable goal that you feel like shit for not reaching.
Yes.
And
And
it's not that uphill climb to the top of the mountain. You get to the top of the mountain and you're done.
right. You have to come back down and you have to climb back up again. You don't do it just once. And thinking of it in those terms makes it so much more manageable and doable and escapable from when you have those moments of where you're in the throes of it. And if you kind of think in terms of, I made friends with you once, I can do it again, instead of I conquered you or I got rid of you, where are you back? Those sentences kind of change the narrative. And I think we should do that.
Compassion. Self-compassion.
Yes. We share it for others. We should have it for ourselves.
I fell into that problem where I wanted to get rid of my depression instead of work with it.
Yeah.
That's a big thing that I've had to work with recently.
We all, I mean, not all of us, but those of us that have depression have to learn to kind of work with it, just like we have to learn to work with all of our other disabilities. Because some of them just are never going to have a cure. And hoping for a cure and basing your life on curing everything that may be quote unquote wrong with you is not a way to live. I think that you end up ignoring the beauty that can come from having those disabilities.
Yeah.
Because you're so focused on, well, I want to walk again and I'm going to do it. Not that you shouldn't have that goal, but there's also some beauty in being able to use the wheelchair or a walker. Or, I have to get rid of my depression. But there's beauty that has come out of it. I mean, look at the paintings that Van Gogh did because he was in the throes of depression. Or some of the books that Emily and Charlotte Bronte wrote because they were in the throes of their depression, or Dickinson, the poem she wrote. And it's, they didn't have the tools to understand how to befriend it, so they wrote it out. And it destroyed them in a way because they didn't have that necessary feedback of understanding that they befriended their monsters. And
Yeah.
so we understand that now. And if we can befriend our monsters, we can make beauty out of it while still saying, yeah, you're a monster, but you're a part of me.
Self-compassion stops the perpetuating of the negative stereotypes about disability and mental health that are so ingrained in our society.
Yes.
Like ignoring it, trying to get over it, having to have it go away to be worthy, all of those things. When you flip the narrative and you treat yourself with compassion, you befriend that monster, you allow yourself reasonable accommodations. You are not only improving your life, improving the way you see yourself, the way you talk to yourself, the way others see you, but the things that you can do and the way you create. That is so beautiful. I love how you wrapped it up with all those writers, because incredible. All of those works are incredible. But imagine if they didn't have to mentally suffer.
Yes.
Like they could create those beautiful things and not literally have their mind trying to kill them.
And it's because that they didn't have those, that they ended up killing themselves. And that's where the tragedy is we have to think in terms of friendships with our brains, because our brains control everything. And to become better people, if we can figure out how to become friends with what we do have, or, quote unquote deficits, and make them into some sort of plus, then we improve ourselves and we improve everybody else, because all it takes is just one person to do it and to touch somebody else, and then they carry it on. And, it doesn't become this overly nauseating puke all the time because you're just way too sweet of, those moments where it's
Positivity.
yes, the toxic positivity.
Yep.
It's not that at all. It's just knowing your worth, and that all of those things that people in society keep saying are wrong with you may not even be wrong at all. It's just dealing with a society that is so rigid in their thinking and in their ways that change terrifies them so much, and you're the change.
Well, even from that very same standpoint of how can you spit it as your positives, to go with your depression example, Mike, a lot of the people that I know who have depression are the actual most compassionate people
Yes.
ever. They don't want anybody to feel the way that they feel.
Right.
Or those people with anxiety, they may overthink everything, but who's always prepared for everything? Those people.
Yeah.
People who have chronic pain. Who's going to be the best nurse if your kid breaks a toe? I don't know why that was the example, but if your kid has a scrape or needs something, who's got an answer or knows how to fix it, it's probably the person with chronic pain.
Right.
And these are tangible examples for how it's a plus. But like you said, even creativity, all of those things, there's so many different ways to find a positive in the condition.
And if you can cure some of them, then it's not to say, we'll stay with the cancer. No, if you can cure it, please cure it.
Yeah.
But we have to also understand that some things may never be cured. And if we can find ways to live with them, and because I think also that the benefit of understanding and befriending your brain in those situations also kind of helps you see when you're starting to fall down that rabbit hole again, and then be able to either surround yourself with the people that'll help you pull back out, or know what to do in those times. Okay, this is what I'm going to need. I need some ice cream. I need some chocolate. I need a good heating pad, a blanket, and my good let me cry the hell out of everything movies, or whatever it is that you need. And be able to then kind of have those moments where you bawl your eyes out and then talk to people. Because if you can see it coming, then you're able to maybe stop it, or if you can't stop it, maybe help yourself a little bit better and find those ways to get out faster, so that you understand that when your brain is saying, fuck you, I hate you, and all that stuff, that people love the shit out of you and you are need to be here. And damn it, I should be a therapist. I just think it kind of came to me as we were talking about it, though, that we could then maybe help ourselves when we're getting to those moments and be able to say, look, I'm going down. Is there something that you can do to help? Or maybe your significant other, let's say you have kids, that maybe they can take the kids for a little bit while you're in that mood, so that it helps to have that compassion, not only for yourself, but then it gives people the options and the ability to be compassionate with you. Because sometimes when you get in those moments of anxiety or depression and all this stuff, if you don't know it's coming and all of a sudden you're just snapping, because that happens when you're in those moments, then it just kind of escalates arguments or things like that. But if you can then use movies, music, art, whatever it is, to kind of channel it and then be like, okay, you're coming back at this moment. Then you can warn, Mike can warn me and say, hey, I'm going to be a bitch.
Yeah. You beautifully summed up one of the many benefits of intentional living and intentionality. Seriously, I could not have said all of that better. The more intentional and aware you are with yourself, the more you can enable others to help you. And if you notice all those things, like often it's exactly what you said. I have gone through all of this and I've told my fiance, this is my take, so this is what I feel, so much so that he's like, oh, I noticed this, and this. How are you feeling? Sometimes he notices before I do, because we just have the intentional, I've done the work, so I know intentionally what that looks like, and he's done it, so we all know it, and we can help each other, and I know when to ask for it if he doesn't catch on. It's being intentional in your life and how you think and how you treat yourself is beneficial to you, but it's also beneficial to everybody around you, right?
Yes.
And if you are going to be a jerk and you have kids, then you can be like, I don't want to be a jerk to my kids. Can you just, exactly like you said, can you just take a moment?
Yes.
And there's also something beautiful, speaking about kids, there's also something beautiful in talking about that with your kids and just being like, hey, also age appropriate. I understand, age appropriateness. I understand that. But saying, hey, you know what? Mama's having a really bad day right now. We're just going to have a movie night. And we're just going to have a low-key night. Are you okay with that? That sounds good to you? Do you want to pick the movie? Cool.
Right.
Letting them know that you're human and you struggle, or apologizing if you're a little bit of a dick,
Yes.
There's something beautiful about having those conversations with kids too, because then they're learning as being young. They're learning when they're young that you're human, number one, but they're learning how to handle when they feel like that from you.
Right.
Right.
And you're going to screw up because we're human again. There are going to be times when you're going to snap and be a dick. And the thing is that you recognize it and you say, oh shit. And you turn around and say, I'm sorry, I was a dick. I'm having a day, not an excuse, but this is why I was, saying what I said or did what I did. And that's the key. And, you also want to make sure that when you're in your dick moments, that you don't, you try and not say something that can be regretted.
Yes.
Because once it's out, you can't take it back.
Of course.
I'm going to be a dick.
Okay.
We need to wrap it up.
Okay. I love how you do that.
That was beautiful. Well done.
Yes. I'm going to give you a clap too.
But yes, we've reached our time limit.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Monica, for joining us.
Yes. And
so
I'm
much.
sure we'll have you again because, we got to talk about your wedding and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, let's do it.
yes,
I'm
of course.
down to talk about that stuff.
That'll be so awesome, and I can't wait.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating for us wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Othering Podcast is brought to you by Loudcore Productions in conjunction with your support. Your host, Mike and Dory Morris, graphics by Joshua Morris, and join us next week on the Othering Podcast.